is here. For those who are returning, welcome back to another video on my channel. And for those who are new here, welcome. I'm making this video to talk about the new Animal Crossing update that was announced a couple of weeks ago. I didn't have time to make a video earlier because I was working on the 3DS video and plus school and work. I just wanted to get the 3DS video out of the way first before I start talking about the Animal Crossing update. I did watch the video that was posted by the Nintendo of America account, and I watched it, and I was conflicted. I was really conflicted about the update for a variety of reasons, and I'm going to talk about these reasons in this video. I wanted to talk about them and rant about them and kind of just share my feelings on the whole situation in regards to the update. Now, of course, like with the videos that I have posted in the past, I will be talking about this opinion, but if you are coming into this video and you're just going to complain about me talking about my opinion, you're wasting your time. Why are you clicking on a video of somebody ranting about the update if you aren't going to like the opinion of that person? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to state my opinions on the update, but I do not want I don't want people arguing in the comments or throwing insults and stuff like that. And yeah, if you're here to like start if you just start here to start unnecessary arguments and stuff like that, I don't have any patience. I'll just start deleting the comments because there's no reason for that. The YouTuber by the name of Keldawott has already posted her video on her thoughts on the Animal Crossing update, and I watched that video and it kind of really put into words like how I've been feeling about the update, and also with the whole direction of Animal Crossing overall with New Horizons. She pretty much said that New Horizons is pretty much just a glorified decorating simulator, and it kind of just, you know, her showing the examples of like the updates over the years, it really kind of like opened my eyes, because I didn't realize that most of the updates that we've got with Animal Crossing New Horizons is just mechanics for decorating. And it kind of just really gave me a reason, like it kind of like showed me like why I haven't been motivated to play Animal Crossing for the past couple of months, you know. She also recently posted a video talking about like the situations with, you know, Nintendo fans and them just arguing with other people for not being quote unquote grateful for the billion corporation that is Nintendo. Like I will be talking about that and something about her like Animal Crossing video, and like some things about her um the recent video that she posted. Like I was gonna just touch upon like one topic that she brought up because I think it's relevant in my thoughts about the whole update. So yeah, please do not harass or anybody that I mentioned in this video, like, and you know, don't bring that negative energy in the comments. Because I don't have any patience for that. If you can't respect everybody another opinion, if you can't respect another opinion, you shouldn't be here in the first place. So yeah, I did I couldn't be bothered like saving all the screenshots on my computer and everything. While I was at school earlier in the day at the time of the recording, I just kind of wrote my feelings down in like a good notes document, and it kind of like took screenshots on my iPad. So this is the document. It's 11-page document. I wrote that in about 2 hours because I just wanted to make this video. And yeah, so these are my thoughts. I think the update is a scam. I think this wasn't done with good intentions. I think this is a way for Nintendo to try to squeeze money out of their consumers. So I'm gonna start with the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Because I'm just like going in order of like the way that the features were presented in the update. So like the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, right? I believe it's a scam, you know. And the first thing they showed is like the enhanced resolution, you know. Like this is the same opinion that I have for the other Nintendo Switch edition games. Like why pay separately just to have better pixels on the screen? Right? Why pay separately for that? You know, for the people who transfer their games from their base Switch all the way over to the Switch 2, like the Switch 2 already has all that processing power, right? Why not build that in to the update? You know, why does it have to be a separate thing? All they have to do is just introduce code to detect which system the game is being played on and unlock certain features based on that system. Why does it have to be put in a separate package? Why do we have to pay more for that? Because people like this, the Nintendo Switch 2 is already like about $500 for people to buy. Like, if they decided to upgrade it, that's like a shitload of money. Why pay an additional paywall? You know, they already gave like probably most of their money. Like that's like a paycheck like that. People are sacrificing their paychecks for this. For what reason? I don't know. I don't think that's a wise decision. But like, why should they pay extra just for an improved resolution? Why not just code that into the game itself instead of making that separate? And then the same thing with the mouse controls too. Like that's like why not, again, like why not include that code in an update and make it so that if the game detects that it's being played on a system, just like have that functionality. Why should we have to pay more just to use the features that we got with the system? It's like ridiculous. And again, it's the same with the microphone too. Like I found it funny, like as I wrote in my notes here, I find it funny that the Switch doesn't have a mic when the previous handhelds had one. The Nintendo, the Nintendo DSi and the Nintendo DSi XL, like they both had microphones. The Nintendo 2DS and the new 2DS, to the Nintendo 3DS and the new 3DS, and then the XL versions of that, they all had microphones. We didn't have to pay separately for a microphone. It was already came in with the system. And so why they jump from the 3DS, their latest handheld, over to the Switch 2, and they didn't make it a priority to include a microphone? But then the Switch 2, there's a microphone. Like why is there that gap? And then they're using this to gain more money from people. Like locking the microphone functionality within like an upgrade pack when that should have just been code that should have been included within the 3.0 update or a previous update. Well, no, like the 3.0 update. Like they should have just included that in the 3.0 update. Like if you have a Nintendo Switch 2, like this feature is unlocked for you. You don't have to pay an upgrade pack. And it's the same thing with other Nintendo Switch 2 editions for other games, like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Like we shouldn't have to pay extra just to get improved graphics. That should just be code that gets unlocked when the game detects the Nintendo Switch system, right? And look here, like they use this, right? They use the microphone, the fact that the Switch 2 has a microphone, and they're locking the megaphone behind a paywall. We had this feature in Animal Crossing New Leaf. We had this for free. So yeah, like why not again just put code in the in an update to have that feature unlocked if you're playing on the Switch 2, right? And then why lock that out for the Nintendo Switch players who don't have the Switch 2? Why not just make it so that if you playing on the Switch 1 and you have the microphone, you just type out the villager's name? Why do they have to lock that out and make it so that you need to pay extra just to have this item when before it was completely free? Like that's completely like bullshit. Like, why is, again, like, I'm excited that they're adding in these new features, but it's locked behind a paywall. So if you really want to have these improved features, you have to pay about $500 just to get the Switch 2, and then you have to pay more to upgrade. Like, like, it's really ridiculous. And then the expanded online features, right? For the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, they made it so that 2 players can join a session on a Switch 2. But like 12 players is a lot. Like I wrote here, it increased the risk of randos ruining the fun for everyone, right? Because in Animal Crossing currently, there's no good way to, they haven't put moderation features. They haven't really put good features on how to handle players that are on your island, you know? Because I remember when I was playing Animal Crossing a lot, and I was also in other people's streams, people would tell players not to use the minus sign and just to leave through the airport to prevent, you know, issues within the gameplay, within the session, right? But in the game currently, there's no way to singularly kick a single person out of your island, and there's no way to block a specific person from coming back into that island. So if you wanted to prevent that person from going back to your island, you'll have to kick everybody out, and you'll have to generate a new dodo code, and you'll have to give that dodo code out to everyone else separately, just so that that one person or that couple people who were ruining the session for everybody doesn't get back in. And that's really inconvenient. It's really inconvenient, which I wrote in my notes before. Like, as you can see here, it just, because like the update does improve like loading times, but it also doesn't fix the inconvenient layout of the menus to travel to other players' islands. You know, you have to be button mashing through menus, and to have to kick everybody out and then have to generate a new dodo code, and everybody has to go through that process of button mashing through the menu. We have to wait for the streamer or for the person to give out a new dodo code for everybody. It's really inconvenient, right? And it's a pain for everybody, including streamers, because one way to combat this, like I wrote in my notes, is to restrict the dodo code to trusted people. Like, it's easy to do on Twitch because Twitch has the point redemption system. So like, if a person is interacting enough in the stream and they're owning enough points, the streamer can set up like a channel point reduction so that if they're doing future streams where people are visiting their items, they can give out the dodo code. But as of right now, I don't know if there's a way to do that on YouTube, because I used to stream on YouTube. I used to stream Animal Crossing on YouTube a lot. And YouTube does not have the same features as Twitch, so this is going to be a lot harder for people who are streaming on YouTube, and having to like they'll have to come up with a system to like try to restrict the dodo code to certain people, so that, you know, you don't get like randos coming in and then just not following directions and they're just ruining the gameplay. And it's all because there's no true moderation. There's no tools in the game yet. There's no tools in the game to like make that easier, to like remove people from your island and like block people and stuff like that. And they didn't mention any plans they didn't mention any way to like improve the moderation capabilities in this update. They just said, oh, you can invite more people into your islands. But unless it's like an additional thing that they haven't mentioned in the video, if they mentioned it elsewhere, like that would be amazing if they thought about that. But if they didn't think about that, that's just a lot more of an inconvenience. It's a lot more of a pain. And again, like I said before, why is that locked behind a paywall? Why can't it not just be something that gets unlocked if the game is being run on a Switch 2? Why do people have to pay extra for that? They're already having to pay extra for Nintendo Switch Online. Why do they have to pay extra again just to unlock this feature? Again, it's just a way for, you know, Nintendo to just squeeze more money out of its customers. And it's just, I'm excited about these features, but like I'm conflicted because it's not being done because they you know, care about the Animal Crossing players. No. It's just, yeah, like moving on. The game chat and the game camera. I'm really concerned about this because I'm concerned about the safety for children. You know, how is Nintendo gonna moderate this? Now, I understand that there are parental controls, but in recent years, there have been parents that just don't care about putting parental controls in place for their children, and they're just letting their children be on their iPads going on God knows what. You know, there's been an increase in that. You know, just iPad kids and then parents not doing their due diligence to like moderate their children, like at least in recent years. And the fact that there's a lack of moderation, like they can, because like what if the parent doesn't bother putting in parental controls? Then it will have to be up to the people who are hosting the islands to be the extra pressure to like moderate, you know. So that would mean that the game chat and the camera, like that would have to be restricted towards like close friends and family. So like if people are streaming and they're using their camera in the game, they will probably have to turn that off, or like say like, hey, if you're playing this if you have the Nintendo Switch edition of this game, we're not going to be using game chat, we're not going to be using camera, please do not, because we're concerned about safety, this, that, and the third, you know. But not just that I'm worried about streamers and stuff like that, but also just behind closed doors, right? Because like, what if a predator who's like is trying to go after a child, but they're like close with the child? Like, yes, this can still be done through Discord, but Nintendo just gave an easier way for people to just communicate with other people, like an easier way to communicate with other people. And considering that there have been incidents in the Animal Crossing community where people have just been harassing each other for no goddamn reason, I feel like this is just an easier way for people to harass each other in Animal Crossing as well. And this can also apply to other games as well. This isn't limited to like Animal Crossing. So like, this is a problem for like for children who's playing on systems where the parental controls is enabled, and this is a problem for people to just join a chat and then they're getting harassed in that chat, or if they have a camera on for them to get harassed. Like, because I know parental controls exist, I feel like this is just an easier way for people to like abuse the Nintendo products. And like with Discord, it's like a lot harder because in order to like record your Switch gameplay, you have to connect like a capture card, you have to do this whole setup. But like with this, you don't need to go on Discord, you don't need to use a capture card. This is like done within the system itself. And if there's if parental controls aren't enabled, or if an individual finds themselves in a toxic environment, like, I don't know. I feel like that this can just facilitate, you know, harassment campaigns. This could facilitate, you know, inappropriate conversations. And unless unless it's already been stated by Nintendo in other articles where they already have protections in place, or like an easy way to like report like a person and stuff like that, then, you know, anybody is free to like link that in the description, because I haven't been looking too much in the Switch 2 like features, because I didn't want to have anything to do with the Switch 2. Like, I just think that it's a pretty shitty console, and that it's just yeah, I just don't really think it's a great console. It's not worth the money, especially with all the additional features that Nintendo is putting against a paywall, like putting behind like a paywall. Like, even in this image, right? You know, the game chat is only going to be free up until March 31st of 2026. So after that time, there's just going to be a button on your Switch 2 that you can't use, and the only way for you to use that is to give them more money. Like, don't you, like, this is a problem. Like, like, this is a problem. Like, why lock that behind a paywall? Especially when when Discord does that for free. Like, I don't, like, I'm sure maybe their logic is like, oh, you're just paying for the convenience. But like, why do that? People would just not use the feature on the console and just use Discord. Like, I don't understand what their logic was, like why they thought this was a good idea. It was a stupid idea. It was a stupid idea for them to do this. But moving past like all the exclusive features that are on the Switch 2 that honestly shouldn't have been locked behind a paywall. They should have just coded all that functionality in the game and have that unlocked or tweaked based on which system you're on. Let's move on to the 3.0 update. You know, y'all remember, you know, in 2021 where they announced the 2.0 update, and they said it was going to be the last major free update. Last major free update, my ass, because look at what we're getting. Look at what we're getting. And they pulled the same shit. They pulled the same shit with Tears of the Kingdom. You know, I got the screenshot from 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗲𝗀's video, because like I tried to see if they said this in an article, but I couldn't find the article, so I just grabbed it from their video, because they had the quote right there. You know what they said, you know what the people behind Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom said about, you know, additional content. They said, we were able to implement all of the elements that we wanted to achieve in this world and in this story, so there will not be any DLC. Please continue to enjoy the vast world of Hyrule. Guess what we got earlier this month? Guess what we got? They said the same. They did the same thing. They did the same thing, and then we got Hyrule Warriors. Like, and the only reason, like, how long has Tears of the Kingdom came out, and now we're getting Age of Imprisonment? They only put out this additional content because of the Switch 2. They only did this because of the Switch 2 to try and get more money out of people. Because in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, because of the amount of movement going on, it can lag. It can lag. And with this, and now that it's being released on Switch 2, like, you know, if you get this on Switch 2, the frame rate will improve. Like, and same thing with this Animal Crossing update. Like, we're excited that, you know, we got all these features. Like, yeah, like with this update, we're excited that we're getting new lore. But it doesn't fix the core issue with the story. You know, like we gotta look into the past. Like, spoiler alert for Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, possibly. Like, I don't know, but from watching the cutscenes, some like it answered a few questions. Like, you know, how was Zelda able to like gain mastery over her powers, like over all of a sudden? Because there was like a gap in the Tears of the Kingdom. Like there was a gap in the cutscenes, like where she didn't know how to control her power, but then in another scene, she just seems to have mastery over it. Like Age of Imprisonment answered that. Age of Imprisonment answered the reason why the Zonai, most of the Zonai, kind of went extinct and stuff like that. But it didn't answer, you know, why Ganondorf was, you know, is the way that he is. Right? It didn't make any connection to Skyward Sword. It didn't make any connection toward the main Zelda timeline. And anyway, it didn't answer why Zelda still exists despite both Rauru and Sonia kicking the bucket. Like, it didn't answer all those core issues. It didn't mention the Triforce, right? Didn't make any main connections to the timeline. And there's just a big fucking plot hole in the story. Like, the game came out and it still didn't fix the core issues. It's the same with this update. It's the same with this update. I'm going to explain to you why I feel this way. Right? So this new update, right? It adds in a new hotel run by Captain's family. But it only brings back decorating gameplay. They already fucking did this in the DLC. They already did this. Oh, there's a hotel and people can visit your island, but you have to decorate their room. We did this already. We paid $25 or about that in Happy Home Paradise. We were doing the same thing. We already did this. You might as well just made this free. Why'd you put this behind additional pay? Why did you make this $25? Because it's the same thing as this. We probably should have just got this for free. Like, and then the quality of life updates. You know, like this update introduces a lot of quality of life updates. But the problem is, like, we should have got this from the jump. We should have got this from the game, from either the time the game launched or in the previous update. So, more storage upgrades. Why didn't we get this in the last update? Or in a previous update? Why didn't we get this? Why are we getting this now? After everybody has been bored with the game and everybody's done playing with it. They gave us the ability to put trees, shrubs, and flowers in the storage. Again, why wasn't this put in the last update? They gave functionality to 𝗂𝗏 to make decorating easier by allowing him to clear out space, or like a portion of space on your island. Why wasn't this put in last update? Why wasn't these put in the 2.0 update? And then the Slumber Islands. So the Slumber Islands, I got really excited about this because it gave us what Animal Crossing players have been asking since the beginning of this game's, like, of New Horizons launch. So it's basically Animal Crossing creative mode, right? And it gives us the ability to have 3 Slumber Islands that you can choose from small, medium, or large. Because if you all remember that before the game launched, it was announced that, you know, the Switch would only have like one island, like people can only have one island on their slips, and then additional users can move into that island, but you can't have, it's not separate. You can't have multiple local islands on your device, and everybody was upset about that. You know, I think it was like the same thing on, was it the same thing on New Leaf? I don't know. I haven't messed around with it yet. But at least from me, like, messing around, I think if you wanted to add an additional player to your town, I think it gave me the option to move in. So I think it's the same functionality. You can't have separate towns. But considering that the Switch was this new and improved system at the time, like, having separate islands should have been possible, but they didn't do that, and everybody was mad about that. So now we've been given the option to have more islands, but at what cost? A Nintendo Online membership is what? 4 years later. So we've been asking this from the day that this inconvenience was announced, and they finally decided to give it to us. But after the quote-unquote last major content update, so they weren't thinking about trying to like give us what we've been asking for. They were gonna wait until it was a perfect opportunity for them. The perfect opportunity for them was the Switch 2, and trying to get more in finding a method for them to squeeze more money out of its players, right? So they didn't mention this in the American trailer, like on the American account. They didn't. I don't believe they put this disclaimer in the trailer. Like, cause like as you can see, like I got this from this video, by Mayamori. Like I think it's the UK where they put this disclaimer on here. Like I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, it was. I think it was only like the UK one, or maybe some other one, but I can't remember what he said that they put this disclaimer on. But they didn't mention this in the US one, so they were just in the US. Like, they were just concealing information. They were intentionally concealing information. I don't know why they thought. Why they decided to do that, but like I understand. You know, it would make sense for them to put it on a cloud for like faster loading times. But like it's still giving, look, we gave you what you wanted, but pay up. So like I just like, as I wrote here, like how much space does regular islands take up? You know, is it really that difficult to give us additional local islands on our devices? Like the Switch base, I think like the base Switch has more storage and more it's like more modern. It has more better improved like algorithms, right? And plus we have SD cards. So why not just make it so that if we don't have sufficient space on our device to make a new island, like to make an additional island, like just prevent us from doing that. And then, but if we do have additional space, like, hey, you have enough sufficient space, okay, you can create a new island and keep your old one. You can have multiple islands. Like, why didn't they do that? Why didn't they code in that functionality? Why didn't they do that? Oh, but they decide, oh, here you can make more islands now, but you're gonna have to you need a Nintendo Switch Online membership in order to access this. So for people who can't afford a Nintendo Switch Online membership, or for those who may not be able to consistently have a Nintendo Switch Online membership, they're locked out of this. So yeah, we gave you what you wanted, but with caveats. And this is this type of business modeling, like this monetization modeling, that I just do not like with Nintendo. Like, they can just give us what we want in a convenient way, or just for free when it should have just been for free. Like, I don't understand why. Like, it's just them just being money hungry. It's just the thing. And multi-crafting, you know, 2.0 last major free they weren't planning on fixing the multi-crafting issue. Like, now in this update we get multi-crafting, but like, why wasn't this at launch? Why make a game that has crafting elements, but you don't put multi-crafting at launch? Minecraft, when Minecraft had introduced crafting, they had this ability at launch. A lot of games that had crafting implementations, they already had this at launch. You know, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, theirs was a special case because it wasn't, you know, you can cook, but you can't really cook multiples. Like, it gets a pass because of the way that it's used. And but here, like you're crafting multiple, you're crafting furniture, you're crafting items, but there's no multi-crafting. Like how do they think that was not important? And then the collab items, like again, I love like having new items, but some of these items you can't really get the most out of them unless you have a Nintendo Switch Online membership. But it was free beforehand. It's bullshit because it was free beforehand. They had in the Animal Crossing GameCube, like you didn't have to buy a separate NES game to play NES games in the GameCube version. It was already built into the game. But no, now if you want to play NES games in Animal Crossing, the same, you have to pay the money for that. Even though we didn't have to do that before. And then these are like more items, more collabs. Like these are stuff that was already, like, this isn't something new. Like they've done like amiibo stuff in Animal Crossing New Horizons before, and also in Animal Crossing New Leaf. Like I understand, like that's not new, but most of the content added within this update is just used for decoration. Like Keldawott already like expressed this in her Animal Crossing video about her opinions on the update. Like this update did not fix the core issue within the game. It didn't fix the soulless villager personalities. It didn't fix the weird inconvenient dialogue box menus, having to button mash to go on villager hunts, having to button mash to travel to other people's islands, and you have to keep going through inconvenient menus. But if you misclick and you click the back button, you have to start all over. It didn't introduce new villager interactions and mini games from New Leaf. It didn't add what made most of New Leaf good, or any other functionality within the previous Animal Crossing titles. And they did, like, if they did introduce that, it's either behind a paywall, and it's just, and that's the reason that I'm upset. Like I love decorating. Like, I like the first Animal Crossing game that I ever played. It wasn't the mainline games. It was Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. And I was playing that game since day one, and growing up with like going through like all these updates. Like I hated the fact that it became such, so heavy with microtransactions, and I'm really glad that once the online version of it like came to an end, that they decided to make it a single player experience. It's like so much easier for me to like get my items now, and like I can show you, like here is just like some of the pictures that I have taken of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Complete lately. This is me in my new like witch outfit, in my new magical witch outfit. This is me again. This is, some pictures of like the campsite that I redecorated. It was a lot easier for me to get these items without having to worry about paying money, which is like really, like they didn't have to, like the executives didn't have to allow the Animal Crossing team to like make a single player experience. They didn't have to do that, but they allowed them to, because they like the Animal Crossing developers, they were like super passionate about the game, and the executives, allowed that, which I think is a win on their part, especially in the conversations with, Stop Killing Games. And, like how with companies, they were, complaining about, having to like keep the servers, like they can't keep the servers running indefinitely, but like the solution was staring right at them. Like all they could do is just make a single player experience of the same game, or make it so that it's like multiplayer, but like if it's on Steam, like you can invite your friends, or it's like local and you can host, like kind of like with Stardew Valley. Or they could just make it so that players make their own servers, right? There, I can probably rant about this in another video about with Stop Killing Games and like my whole opinions on that. But like just like quick news on that, like I've seen a video where like people like legislators in the UK were like discussing it, but like they were concerned about it violating the Online Safety Act, like that stupid law that they passed back there. But like there's like a simple solution for that too. Just like make a process, make it like additional legislation to make it so that servers made in the UK follow this specific rule to protect the children, and then just block any servers that are made in other countries that don't have this law in place. Like I don't understand why that's so difficult for them. If they're having such an issue with that, just block certain websites, just block certain servers. They're like trying to get other countries involved to like follow their laws, but like laws in different countries, like they don't have to follow their laws. Like I don't understand, like if you don't like something, just block it. Like that's the whole issue with censorship. And I wanted to make a video talking about Stop Killing Games. I just haven't had the time. When I get around to it, I'll like rant about that too. But like they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do all that. And it's really good that, you know, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Complete was like made, because, you know, I didn't have to lose on my project. I can still decorate on my campsite, and I do love decorating. But why is it that Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Complete, there's like more motivation for me to go back and decorate on my campsite than I do have motivation to go on Animal Crossing New Horizons Island to decorate? Because yes, it's tedious in Pocket Camp to like redecorate, but like, you know, there's different events going on in the game to keep you engaged. If you collect certain items, you get like memories unlocked, and you get in that unlocks special interactions between, you know, the different villagers, you know, and they have like their different scenes. And, you know, you do quests for the villagers. Like, yes, it's still a bit soulless compared to like New Leaf, but like compared to New Horizons, like I'm going on to Pocket Camp more than I have gone on New Horizons in the past couple years. So, but like on Animal Crossing New Horizons, I love to decorate, but there's no real reward for you finishing your island completely. There's no, after you get the ability to terraform your island, that's it. They kind of say, all right, you're done now. People have to make up their own motivation, like give themselves a motivation to go back onto their island to keep decorating. Like after I made my first island and I did my island tour and I shared my Gym regress, that was it. I tried starting a new island to make like an island based off one of my favorite games, Mages of Australia, but I haven't had much of a motivation to go back into my island and continue decorating it, because there is no motivation. When I go back and I look at my games and I look at Animal Crossing New Horizons, it just seems like a chore. It's like tedious to like having to terraform, especially to terraform and to gain all the items and stuff like that. There's no real joy into collecting items. It's just a task. In New Leaf, it was a joy collecting items. It was a joy like doing quests for villagers. But like in New Horizons, there's no motivation. It's just what they did with New Horizons. They just made it a decorating simulator, like what Keldawott said, and it really like opened my eyes, because like I acknowledged in the past, you know, between other streamers who play Animal Crossing, that yeah, like the villagers are soulless and things like that. Like things within like the previous Animal Crossing games, at least until the 2.0 update, they were upset that they weren't included in the base game. But even then, with the 2.0 update, it still didn't fix any of the core issues that people were having. And now with the 3.0 update, again, it's still not fixing the core issues within the game. So I just like, it's just, it only amplified the decorating part of Animal Crossing, but it didn't really capture the whimsy that made these old games special. And the only reason why we got this update is because of the Switch 2, right? They want to lure more Animal Crossing players over to the new device. If the Switch 2 never came out, we wouldn't have been robbed of these features. And this was the same with Age of Imprisonment. Like, Tears of the Kingdom have been out for how long? And only now we're just getting these new lore drops, when that should have been included in the base game. Like, why not have a like I mentioned this in the previous video, like, why not have a separate, like a previous video where I was complaining about Nintendo, like, why not have a separate section, like a separate segment into the game where we're playing as Zelda and we're going through her memories, and why not include all that lore in the other game? And they said that they weren't going to touch like that era of The Legend of Zelda, but here they are with Age of Imprisonment, a reskinned of Hyrule Warriors, a reskinned of Age of Imprisonment. Like, they just want to make more money. It's just, like, at least that's for the executives, right? Now, Keldawott mentioned this in her latest video, talking about like how certain Nintendo fans within the space are just like going after people who are expressing their dislike for issues within the products that they purchase. And Keldawott mentioned this in her other videos, where the developers, to them it's just another job. They go in, they drive to work, they clock in, they do what they're told, and then they go home. Like, some of these developers, they are passionate about the games that they're developed, but it's not like that for everybody. And for some people within the game development space, they're just doing what they're told. They don't have control over the games that they make. They don't have the power to make these executive decisions. It's the people who have these executive positions that are calling all the shots. So when people are saying, "Oh, be nice to the developers," this, that, and the third, like, the developers probably don't care much about the game. They're only following orders. Why are, like, people have the right to be angry because the executives that are overseeing the game, they're the one calling the shots. All right, we're not bullying the developers. We're because I'm sure that they didn't have control over what they wanted to put in the game. All right, people aren't bullying the developers. We are mad at the direction, the creative direction that was put in place over these games. In my opinion, it's not worth getting the Switch 2 for this, and I disagree with anyone who says otherwise. There's an Animal Crossing YouTuber, I won't mention their name, I don't even remember which video I watched, and I probably won't find it again, but they said that, you know, for these features, the faster loading times and this, that, and the third, it's worth it. No, it's not. My humble opinion, no, it's not. It's not worth spending $500 and then having to spend additional money just to upgrade, just to upgrade, okay? And then to also pay for Nintendo Switch Online for additional features that should have been included in the base game. I already feel like it's stupid to pay for multiplayer because there's other games that allow you to have multiplayer for free, and Nintendo is just monopolizing the fact that, oh, you're using our products, you're using our servers, you have to pay. I think it's stupid. I still have a Nintendo Switch Online account because of the games that I play, and I want to be able to like play on those games, but I think it's stupid to charge for that. I think it's stupid, and I really don't understand why there isn't more pushback against that. Because I believe with the Nintendo Online network, you know, for, you know, when it was online for the 3DS, for the DSi, for like previous games, and I think the Wii U and the Wii, like, did we have to pay for that? No, not to my knowledge. We didn't have to pay for that. So why are they paying for that since once the Switch was announced? Why are we paying for that now? Because that wasn't the case before. It's just like I'm excited for the new decorations, like I said before, the quality of life features, but I'm conflicted because we should have gotten these years ago, and we only got them because the Switch 2 was out. We didn't get them because, you know, the executives wanted to like bring this game back and they want to, you know, improve the game further. But no, we only got this because the Switch 2 is out and they just want to make more money from it. That's all there is. Like, I'm excited for all these features. Like, I'm really excited about the Legend of Zelda, like, amiibo stuff. But it's not worth it. It's not worth buying new amiibos for it. Like, if you already have amiibos for, like, the Legend of Zelda and the Splatoon, like, just use the amiibos, you already have them. But if you want the items and you want them cataloged on in your catalog, you have to buy new amiibo. You can get them for Treasure Islands, but I'll talk about the Treasure Islands in a bit if they work by the time the update comes out. But they won't be cataloged, and that means you have to scan your own amiibo. So you either have to find a friend who has the amiibo, or you have to get them yourself. And with that, I do not recommend buying the official amiibo, especially if you do not have the space for all the amiibos. I recommend getting amiibo cards, like going somewhere on Etsy for somebody who's selling amiibo cards. Like with the whole Etsy situation, like if like it's like really it's not like a mess over there. So but because a lot of artists and a lot of makers still use Etsy, I still recommend Etsy for like getting handmade stuff. So like if you're looking for getting amiibo, I recommend just going on Etsy to buy amiibo cards. I know it's gonna be difficult because of like the tariffs and everything. So just try to see if you can find the best deal for the budget that you have. And if you do have amiibo cards, if anyone do has like amiibo, not amiibo cards, but for anybody who does have like amiibo figures and they're interested in making amiibo cards, like I would encourage you to like make amiibo cards, and like send them out and like make some money off of that. But I don't recommend using Etsy because of the whole problems and issues that are on that platform. I recommend making a buy me a coffee, or if it comes down to it, making a Ko-Fi. I don't like promoting Ko-Fi because of an issue between them not doing their due diligence and security. There was like a whole situation between them and an artist, you know, Duchess Celestia, and her account getting hacked, and the Ko-Fi customer service doing jack shit to help her in that situation. So I don't like promoting Ko-Fi for that very reason. I stopped really hosting my products on Ko-Fi because of that reason, and I switched to Buy Me a Coffee. And I would prefer that you guys use a Buy Me a Coffee instead of Ko-Fi because of the security issues. But because Ko-Fi kind of has a bit more of like payment options over there, if Buy Me a Coffee doesn't have the payment option that you need to either or for like your, if you want it to be more accessible, then push comes to shove, like use Ko-Fi. But I try to like avoid it if possible. Or a Patreon. I don't know if Patreon's an option, but like if you guys have like amiibos and you want to make amiibo cards, I really encourage you to like make them. You should at least make some money off of that. But yeah. Now on to the Treasure Islands, you know, because with this update, there's probably going to be a lot of hidden additions that they didn't talk about. Like again, with the Nintendo Switch Online requirement on the Slumber Islands, that wasn't really effectively communicated within the trailers across the board. So with this update, there is a high chance that Treasure Islands are going to break, and there's a high chance that mods are going to break, and there's a high chance that they're going to patch exploits on the update to prevent people from modding the game. So what I encourage people to do if you use treasure islands a lot, I recommend going onto your treasure islands, and I recommend getting all of the items that you need now before the update. If you aren't planning on resetting once the update hits. If you're planning on keeping your current island through the update, I recommend that you go onto treasure islands and you get all the bells and you get all the items and you get all the Nook tickets, all the tickets that you need before the update drops, because most likely it's going to break things, and because this game hasn't been touched for years, you know, things have been working because they haven't touched the game, but I know that once the update rolls out, things are gonna break, and it will probably take a minute for people to develop new scripts and software to get the treasure islands up and running. So if the treasure islands break, don't harass the people who are hosting these islands, okay? Because it will be out of their control. In the meantime, if they do break, you just go on 𝗂𝗶𝗃𝗀𝗀. You know, 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗀 will probably have an increase in popularity if the treasure islands break with this update. So like if that happens, it's not the end of the world. Don't be being out of pocket. Don't harass people. Just use 𝗂𝗂𝗀, or at the very least just interact with others. There's Discord servers, there's people will most likely be streaming. So if you need items, just interact with other players. It's not the end of the world. And if you do mess with mods, just get the most out of your mods that you can right now before they break with the new update, if they do break, because most likely Nintendo is going to try to patch out abilities to like mod the game. So just do what you can with that. And that's pretty much my document that I wrote. I know it's just like a bit scuffed, but I just wanted to like put my opinions out there. Like, I really am excited for this update. I just can't really be too excited. Like, it's conflicting because like I like the new items. I like the fact that we're getting an update along, because that opens up the possibility that Nintendo might touch this game in the future and improve it in the future. But with the previous statement that they made about the 2.0 update being the last major content update, and they haven't touched the game since then, like, I don't know, like, the context surrounding this update, I don't really feel like it was made with the intention of players in mind. I believe that it was made just for them to make more money, and it's frustrating. I understand, because like a lot of Animal Crossing players have been really excited for this. I know that YouTube channels have been there, like, I forget the name, but like I know like there's been some YouTube channels, you know, trying to post updates about whether or not Nintendo's gonna do something about the game and stuff like that. And I understand that there's a lot of people who have been hoping really hard for Nintendo to just keep the game alive. And it's like, I want to have hope that they might, you know, try and improve the game in the future, but I don't know if it's just wishful thinking, because we're getting this update, but like everybody's been done with the game, and it's been like 4 years. Some of these things that we've been asking for since the beginning, and now we're getting some of these things, but now we have to pay for these. They can't just be included without us having to take out our wallets. And it sucks. It really does suck, because like I of course I'm not getting the Switch 2. It's stupid to get the Switch 2, especially in this economy. Like like it sucks, because a lot of the players who can't upgrade to the Switch 2 are being locked out of content that was free in previous games, and that just alienates a large portion of the player base who can't upgrade, who can't update, or who don't want to upgrade. And it's really annoying. really annoying that this is the context in which we have to get the update. The update only exists because the Switch 2 exists, and it sucks. It really does suck. I don't know if this will motivate me to go back into New Horizons, because it didn't really fix the core issues within the game. It didn't really give me motivation to just finish my island. So I don't know. I'll probably play the game in my own time, but I am not going to stream it because like I said before, like with the notes and everything, you know, with the new features and the lack of moderation within the game itself on how to like moderate people, I just do not want to deal with that, especially in these times where people just do not know how to treat other people with respect. I do not want to have to be dealing with people who just can't follow instructions or just do not how to behave and make the experience playable for everybody that's on the island and for the hosts themselves. So I most likely won't be streaming Animal Crossing New Horizons anytime soon. I will do gameplay of Dualies and City Folk or other Animal Crossing games in the future, but just not New Horizons, not until there's like a true reason for me to go back and they put in a motivation for me to do that. I really wanted to like finish my island on stream for Mayhem Australia, at least before the second game comes out, because the second game was released. I mean, not released, it was announced and they're working out it, but I probably won't do that on stream. I'll finish it on my own time in the comfort of my own space. Yeah, it's just really disappointing. Like, honestly, I can't tell you what to do with your money. If you really feel like it's worth it to get the Switch 2 just for this update alone, I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you to like not buy the official amiibo and just buy amiibo cards. If you feel like it's worth it to like collect the figures, you do that. Don't let my opinion deter you from making your own decisions. I'm just stating my opinion. But yeah, like I said before, please don't just harass people for stating their opinions on this update. Don't bring that negative energy into the comments, because I don't have any patience for that. But yeah, if there's any more news about, you know, like major news about the update for Animal Crossing, I might make another video talking about that. But yeah, this is just my main sentiment about the whole update. I'm conflicted. I'm glad that we're getting new stuff, but it's at the cost of our wallets. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day / night / afternoon, wherever you are. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Whenever that is, whenever I have time. Bye everybody.